and the live streaming as well. Thanks, councillors. Let's begin. It's just after 6 p.m. Sorry for the slightly late start. It's the 19th of October 2021. This is
25th of October.
26th of October. Why have I got the wrong run sheet in front of me?
It just said 19th of October on the front. It should say 25th.
So 26th of October 2021. This is a special council meeting. I'll just read through the declarations. At item 1, I declare the ordinary council meeting of today's date open. We acknowledge the Whadjuk people, the traditional custodians of the land, and pay our respects to elders both past and present. As we always do, can we ask all present elected members only at this stage, there's no one else here, to please turn off mobile phones, particularly during the meeting. This meeting is being live streamed on the city's website. By being present at this meeting, and no one is, members of the public consent to the possibility that their voice is being live streamed to the public. The remainder of the disclaimer can be seen on screen, and the purpose of tonight's meeting is twofold. 1, to appoint members to committees and external organisations, and 2, to discuss the reappointment of independent external members to the city's Audit and Risk Committee. At item 2, attendance, I'm pleased to say that the full council is present tonight. There are no apologies. Item 2, approved leave of absence. None has been received. Disclosures of interest. Mr CEO, any disclosures received?
No, Mr Mayor.
No disclosures have been received at item 3, so we move to item 4, which is question time for the public. There are no members of the public present tonight in the gallery, so I will not open or obviously close public question time. We'll move to item 5, which is the receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations. At item 5.1, petitions, there are none. Item 5.2, presentations, there are none. And item 5.3, deputations, there are none. We move to the first report on tonight's agenda. The report is at item 6.1, and I'm going to ask for a mover and seconder from the floor to suspend Standing Orders Local Law 2015. The recommendation is that the City Standing Orders Local Law 2015, being clauses 7.9, 7.11 and 7.12, be suspended to allow nominations for item CC 052 of 21 to be obtained. Can I have a mover, please, from the floor? Thank you, Councillor Holland. A seconder? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Councillor Holland, got nothing to add?
Nothing further. I agree with that.
Thank you.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. We'll put the matter to the vote, councillors. That's simply to suspend standing orders.
Councillor Parkinson, I don't have your vote.
I'll press that one. Sorry. Thanks.
The motion to suspend standing orders has been carried by absolute majority, 11 in favour.
Thank you. We'll now suspend standing orders in relation to 7.9 and 7.11. Both of those items, for those listening at home, relate to councillors being able to speak more than once on an item. That's not generally allowed. And 7.12, which has been suspended, will allow councillors to speak for more than 5 minutes if they would like to. We will be returning to standing orders after the completion of the following report. The following report is CC 052 of 21. The title of that report being the appointment of members to committees and external organisations. Councillors, standing orders has been suspended. I just think we'll work through these one by one. For those listening at home, all of the committee positions are listed in the agenda for tonight's meeting. The officer's recommendation, we will bring that up shortly, but the council in accordance, the first officer recommendation relates to the Audit and Risk Committee. Currently we have 2 persons have nominated for that, being myself and also Councillor Steve Parkinson. There is another opportunity for another councillor to join that committee.
Councillor Sweeney nominated late today.
Oh, we did? Councillor Sweeney? So we have that. Well, I hadn't received it, so I'm not sure when you put it in, but just your. That's okay. Thank you. The CEO's just raised with me that Councillor Sweeney has nominated, so thank you very much, Councillor Sweeney. What we may do then is move to the next item.
Just ask for any other nominees.
That's a very good point, CEO. Does anyone else want to wish to nominate for the Audit and Risk Committee at item 1? Okay, thank you. We'll move then to item 2. The second item is that Council, in accordance with section 5.10 in brackets 1 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Council Policy AD04, CEO Performance and Salary Review, appoints the following elected members to the City's CEO and Performance Review Committee. We have the Mayor and Deputy Mayor had already been put onto that committee. We have at the moment Councillor Spencer Teo and Councillor Hardeep Singh have also nominated for that committee, and I think they are all the positions required at the moment, so I'll just ask and invite anybody else whether or not they would like to nominate for that committee. I thought there were actually, you raise a good point, I thought that there was actually a third position other than the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor on there. Governors, can I just ask you to double check, because I'm fairly certain that the original email had provision for 3 members.
So there are 4 in the current one. You can have.
No, it is 4.
You can have more if you.
Yeah. Does anyone else wish to nominate for that committee before we move on? Thank you. Then we'll move on to, thank you, Governance. The third of the committees is that Council appoints the following elected members to represent the City on the following external organisations. The first of those being the Joint Development Assessment Panel, also known as JDAP, for nomination to the Minister for Planning for appointment from January 2022, and that will be 2 delegates and 2 alternative delegates. The CEO, Deputy Mayor.
I'm happy to be just a deputy delegate.
You're happy to be a deputy delegate. I think I'll just make the point on that. We have 2 delegates currently that are fully trained, and their position, I think, remains intact until I think it's the last week of January in 2022. There's some training to be involved in. Anybody appointed tonight by Council, that appointment will need to go to the Minister of Planning or Minister for Planning for those appointments to be actually ticked off. So at the moment we have Councillor Kunza as an alternative delegate, myself as a delegate, Councillor Spencer Teo as a delegate, and Councillor Jacobs has nominated himself as a delegate.
Point of order, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, if you want to nominate for a committee, your nomination is in.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Not for external.
You can nominate for any committee member's position. That's what we were told.
CEO?
Through the chair, only for internal committees. So these are external appointments, and as the Mayor's noted, they have to be ratified or nominated by the Minister for Planning. So internal committee, the Mayor has the right to automatically sit on anyone, but not external.
So clear that up. Sorry? It's clear as mud? Okay, thank you. So those are the 3 nominations. I'll invite anybody else who may wish to nominate for the JDAP. Okay, we have 3 into 2 at the moment, so what we shall do by a show of hands is, and this is the way we'll be...
Randomise the order. Otherwise, there's a tendency for the first one to have the advantage, as we did 2 years ago.
Well, I'm not absolutely certain about that. These are the order in which they were received, and that's the same. In fact, if you look further through the agenda, there are a number of items. I think there is another one that we're coming to where you were actually first in that order, I think. That's the Metropolitan Regional Road Group. So I don't know how we would do it any other way.
Propose just a randomisation, because from memory, last time we did this 2 years ago, Mr Mayor, it was a distinct advantage to the people going forward. And
Why do you say that's a distinct advantage? What proof have you got that it's a
it's just
distinct
from
advantage?
previous experience when we did it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't accept that. This is the order in which they've been received, and the order is random in as much as I said, your name is on one as the number 1 candidate here, so I don't accept what you've said, but we will go ahead with the way. Councillor Holland?
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing, not disagreeing with you, Mr Mayor. I'm wondering how you're going to, you've got 3 people to vote for, how you're going to do it with a show of hands.
Because we will call a show of hands for myself and say
So
there are
if everybody-
4. Everybody will have an opportunity to...
So
Well,
everybody votes, so if we
everybody
vote
votes, you can only
11
vote
for
once.
you,
That's
and then
right.
we vote 11 for Commencer Spencer Teo and 11 for Jacobs, it's not going to work.
I can't see why it wouldn't work. You can only vote once. I'll call
No,
them.
you can't, you've got to vote more than once because there's 2 positions. It has to be done on paper.
No, well, CEO, can I get you to
It
offer
can't,
your
it
comment
won't
on
work
that?
like this.
So we could do it on this basis of just to see what the allocation is. Alternatively, you could put up a hand just for the whole lot, as you say, 4 votes, 3 votes, 3 votes. In the end, if we can't reach a consensus, the only way that the matter will be resolved is bring it back to council where alternate motions will be moved for each delegate to be accepted onto the committee.
Mr Mayor, why don't we just put it on paper, you put your 2 names down and that's it.
We had the same conversation earlier
That's the way we
today.
did it last time, and the way we've done it every time we've been on council, we've done it all by
I think the last time we did it by show of hands, and it was pretty ordinary. Do you remember? It was not very...
This
didn't very
won't
well.
work
Yeah.
by show of hands, it's got to be by
Governance,
paper.
can I just ask for a comment on there, Ms Cornish? Are we able to do that quite quickly?
Yes, this is the same process as we did last year. If you check out the minutes for November 2019, it said that we did a show of hands and we suspended standing orders to sort out nominations. Where we had more candidates than positions, we did a show of hands, which then eliminated those candidates, and if that was agreed upon, then that motion was put to council.
I'm happy to do that. We'll do it by paper ballot. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I'll make the rule.
No, but what we'll do,
We'll come back to them.
we'll go through, get consensus, the ones we want, work out the ones we've got to collect the ballot, whiz out, just knock them up, and then come back in. Take an extra...
Yeah, that's all right. We can do that as well. Yeah, fine. We'll proceed. Thanks for your comment, Councillor Holland. I think we'll go with that. We'll go with a paper-based vote, and I think that'll be better.
Karen, you and Ara just to create a template for that while she's sitting there that we can then print it on.
The second external committee councillors will be the Local Emergency Management Committee. We have Councillor Sarah Sabiri has nominated herself as a delegate. We don't have a deputy delegate at the moment. I'm happy to be the deputy if we... Sorry?
Yeah, we added.
Oh, okay. Councillor Spencer Teo, sorry. Okay, thank you. So we have both of those, the delegate and also the deputy delegate, both covered. Does anyone else wish to nominate for that committee? No, this is for the Local Emergency Management Committee.
So Lemper's okay, no vote required?
It says no vote required on that one. We'll move on to WALGA. We have myself, Councillor Sabiri, Councillor Jacobs and Councillor Parkinson. Councillor Parkinson has nominated as a deputy delegate. Thank you. We have Councillor Sabiri, myself and Councillor Jacobs nominating for the 2 delegate positions there. So,
Sabiri is just asking to speak.
Councillor Sabiri,
I'm happy to go deputy delegate.
to be a
Deputy.
deputy delegate.
Okay, that resolves that.
That resolves that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Councillor Sabiri. We move to the Canning River Regional Park Community Advisory Committee. There's 1 delegate and 1 deputy required. We have Councillor Bain has nominated as the delegate. Do we have somebody that would like to be the deputy?
Councillor Sabiri,
Councillor Sabiri. Anybody else apart from Councillor Sabiri? And if not, we'll accept Councillor Sabiri as the deputy. Thank you for that, Councillor Sabiri. We move on to the Perth Airports Municipalities Group. 1 delegate and 1 deputy required. Councillor Sabiri has nominated as the delegate for that committee, and Councillor Jacobs as the deputy delegate. Anyone further wish to nominate for that committee? If not, we will move on. Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to the Jandakot Airport Community Aviation Consultation Group. There's 1 delegate required and 1 deputy. Councillor Parkinson has nominated as a delegate for that committee, Do we have a deputy?
Councillor Sweeney came in late as a
Oh, good on you, councillor Sweeney. All right, that's great. You happy to be the deputy on that one? Okay, well, if that's okay, thank you, councillor Sweeney. We'll put you down here as a deputy with councillor Parkinson as the delegate. Item 7, we have the Metropolitan Regional Road Group. We have councillor Jacobs as nominated as a delegate, councillor Caldenza also as a delegate, and councillor Spencer Teo as a deputy delegate. I'll just check the board to see if there's anybody else. There is not. So we have
Jacobs has got his hand up.
councillor Jacobs. You're happy to withdraw your nomination from there? Councillor Jacobs as delegate has withdrawn. That's the one that you had the advantage of being the number one on the list. Okay, all right. And the Canning Neighbourhood Watch meeting, we have one delegate and one deputy. We have councillor Bain as the delegate, and councillor Tuchek has also, I think, nominated as a delegate. And I believe, do we have councillor Singh? I thought councillor Singh had nominated.
I did.
You did? Well, I can certainly put you down now as a delegate for
I'm
that.
happy to go deputy.
You're happy to be the deputy? You sure? Councillor Tuchek, that leaves you as the only delegate there. You happy with that? So you'll be the delegate. I'm happy to leave Councillor Bain and also Councillor Hardeep Singh both as sub-delegates on that. Either that, we did have a conversation earlier about that. There's an opportunity there because this is an internal, this one here is an internal committee. It's a city committee, the Community Neighbourhood Watch Committee. We could have 2 members on that, but I'll leave that up to you gents to sort out. Not forgetting with these committees that any person, any elected member can attend any of those meetings. So, you know, if you're not able to attend, Paul, there's obviously plenty of people to pitch in there and help. So I have Councillor Tuchek, you're the delegate. Councillor Bain, you will be the deputy, one deputy, and Councillor Singh as the second deputy. And councillors, we're just going to pause for a few minutes. What we might do is just give governance a moment to catch up. They're going to put together just a couple of ballot papers for distribution. Karen, can I just ask, how long do you propose?
5 minutes.
Councillors, we might just pause the meeting if you don't mind. We'll just have a quick break for 5 minutes.
Adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn the meeting.
Do you need a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I do.
And Joe, a motion to adjourn the meeting? And
Councillors, I propose to adjourn the meeting for no longer than 10 minutes for the purpose of staff facilitating the paper ballots proposed by Councillor Holland and others. Can I have I'll move that from the chair. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Spencer Teo. Councillors, can I just have a vote on that? We'll put the matter to the vote. This is just to suspend the meeting for 10 minutes.
The motion to adjourn the meeting while we sort out a ballot paper has been carried unanimously, 11 in favour.
Thank you, councillors. The time now is 20 minutes past 6 on the dot. We'll convene no later than 30 minutes past the hour. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. The time is now just after 6:30. It's 6:32 by my recollection. We are restarting the council meeting, the special council meeting held tonight to arrive at members for committees. All the positions so far have been filled, subject to the council resolution to accept the recommendation when it's put up on screen in a moment. We do have one ballot to hold, and that will be in relation to the Joint Development Assessment Panel, known as the JDAP. There are positions on there for 2 delegates and 2 alternative delegates. Ballot papers have been distributed during the break, produced by governance and distributed to each one of the council members, including myself. The delegates nominated are Mayor Hall, myself, Councillor Spencer Teo and Councillor Jacobs. You have a decision between the 3 of us. Councillor Kunza has asked to be an alternative delegate, so has withdrawn his nomination previously as a delegate for that committee. So you have a ballot paper in front of you. You have 3 names on it. Those names are mine, Councillor Spencer Teo and Councillor Jacobs. You're required to tick 2 of those names. So each councillor gets to tick 2 names. The CEO will then make sure we have all 11 of the ballot papers accounted for, and that we have 2 ticks on each of those. The CEO will then tally those numbers and announce the result. Councillors, I'll get you to please fill in your ballot paper. And I'll ask the CEO to walk around the room and gather them, if you don't mind, Mr. CEO.
Mr. Bryant will assist me in the count.
And for the sake of the record, Director Bride will be assisting the CEO in the count. Ballot papers have been collected. All 11 have been collected by the CEO, and the CEO and Director Bright are now checking the validity of those and counting the ticks. Gosh, you cut the tension here with a knife. I'm going to ask the CEO to declare the result. CEO Stephen Kane.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. There'll be 8 votes for Mayor Hall, 8 votes for Councillor Sensatio and 6 votes for Councillor Jacobs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Councillors, I'll just ask for one of you to please move that we return from suspending standing orders. Thank you, Councillor Bain. Seconder, Councillor Sabiri, thank you very much. Councillor Bain, you've got nothing to add? Councillor Sabiri, nothing to add? Thank you, councillors. We'll put it to the vote that we return to the standing orders.
The motion to resume standing orders being carried unanimously, 11 in favour.
Bain, Sabiri. Thank you, Governance. I'll ask that Governance put the recommendation on screen with all councillors in those nominated positions. All fine, thank you. Can I go, I'll read from the top of the page, Governance, if you can just bring that up on screen. Councillors, the recommendation, which will be shortly in front of us all, is that Council, in accordance with section 7.1A, in brackets 2 of the Local Government Act 1995, appoints 3 elected members to the City's Audit and Risk Committee, those being, I have Mayor Hall, Councillor Parkinson and Councillor Sweeney. 2, the Council, in accordance with section 5.10 in brackets 1 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Council Policy AD04 CEO Performance and Salary Review, appoints the following elected members to the City's CEO Performance and Salary Review Committee, being the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Spencer Teo and Councillor Singh. At item 3, the Council appoints the following elected members to represent the City on the following external organisations. Number 1 being the Joint Development Assessment Panel for nomination to the Minister for Planning for appointment from January 2022. Those candidates being Mayor Hall, Councillor Spencer Teo, both as delegates, Councillor Jacobs as Deputy Delegate and Deputy Mayor Kunza as a second Deputy Delegate. Item 3.2, the Local Emergency Management Committee, Canning and South Perth, Councillor Sabiri as the delegate and Councillor Spencer Teo as Deputy Delegate. Item 3 there would be the Walga South East Metropolitan Zone. The nominations there are Mayor Hall as a delegate, Councillor Sarah Sabiri as Deputy Delegate, Councillor Jacobs also as the second delegate and Councillor Parkinson as a second Deputy Delegate.
Mr Mayor, on the list, could we just adjust the B
order
and the C, because it's just a bit confusing?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll get to Governance just to move the order for that. For the Canning River Regional Park Community Advisory Committee, We'll just wait for governors to catch up and then we'll move on. Thank you, Governance. The Canning River Regional Park Community Advisory Committee, the nominations yet to be appointed are Councillor Bain as the delegate and Councillor Sarah Sabiri as the deputy delegate. The Perth Airports Municipalities Group, we have Councillor Sabiri as the delegate, Councillor Jacobs as the deputy delegate. The Jandakot Airport Community Aviation Consultation Group, we have Councillor Parkinson as the delegate, Councillor Sweeney as the deputy delegate. The Metropolitan Regional Road Group, we have Deputy Mayor Kunza as the delegate, Councillor Spencer Teo as the deputy delegate, and finally the Neighbourhood Watch Committee, we have Councillor Tuchek as the delegate, with both Councillor Bain and Councillor Singh both as deputy delegates. Can I have a mover from Council to please accept those nominations? Councillor Spencer Teo, and a seconder. Seconder, Councillor Jacobs, thank you. Councillor Spencer Teo, anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Jacobs.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, councillors. We'll put those nominations, proposed appointees to the vote. Thank you. Governance is saying we need an absolute majority for this item, for items 1 and 2.
Motion CC-052-21 has been carried by absolute majority with 11 in favour.
Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to the second and final item on tonight's agenda, being report CC-053 of 21, the report titled Reappointment of Independent External Members to the Audit and Risk Committee. The officer's recommendation is that council appoints Mr Mark Wallace and Miss Elsie Lee as independent external members to the City of Canning's Audit and Risk Committee in accordance with section 7.1A in brackets 2 of the Local Government Act 1995. The recommendation is on page 17 of the agenda and is on screen. Can I have a mover for that item, please? Councillor Spencer Teo, a seconder. I'll second it from the chair then. Councillor Spencer Teo.
Nothing to add, thank you.
Similarly, I have nothing to add. Does any councillor wish to ask a question or add anything? Councillor Singh?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask the question to Mr. Bowe. There are 2 vacancies to appoint people, and we only have received 2 resumes. Why there are not more than 2? Is there a reason for that?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We're merely seeking to reappoint Councillor Singh. We haven't advertised the vacancies. In effect, they're not vacant. We're recommending we reappoint the existing members.
There's not a requirement to advertise, and these are the current 2 independent members. They're both duly qualified. We went through a process last time of going through resumes. They're both very qualified people, and they're happy to continue in the role. It's pretty much a voluntary role, so I think we're pretty pleased to have them. Thank you very much, councillors. We will put the matter to the vote. Sorry? Thank you, Councillor Singh.
Motion CC-053-21 has been carried by absolute majority with all 11 in favour.
Thank you, councillors. We move on to confidential matters. This evening there are none. And at item 8, closure, there being no further business, I now declare tonight's meeting closed. The time by my recollection is 7:50 p.m. Thank you everyone for coming along.
6:50 p.m.
Oh, 6:50. That's even better, isn't it? 6:50 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance and to staff for their assistance. Thank you.